Hey everyone, and welcome to your weekly world session. My name's Terryann, and I'm here with my beautiful group who you can't see, but they are supporting our work. And it is March 31st. It's the last day of the month. Tomorrow, being the full moon and April Fool's Day, we're going to just build up the idea, the sense of individuation. So in body talk, individuation is found in the heart. So we dump those aspects of ourselves. So you could just kind of consider for yourself what those aspects are. And one of the reasons we're doing this is to support, of course, because it's a world session, everyone in the world, but also our civilization. So it is each and every one of us have a unique and individual responsibility to be able to learn, to work with, and communicate with others. So, right now, we talk a lot about being diverse and inclusive. We talk about that a lot, and yet we are the exact opposite. We feel like my diversity is the diversity that we want, and your diversity is not the diversity I want. So, here we just need to learn to communicate with others through the maturation process, right? It's great, when you're with a bunch of people. Well, I'm Greek, so being a Greek, we like to argue and debate, and our voices get raised. And usually, when I was younger, it was a lot of drinking and eating, and it was fun, lots and lots of fun. And when they were all Greeks, it was just fine. But if I had one of my English friends come over, they would say, "Why are you guys yelling at each other?" It's like, no, we're just Greek. That's what we do. We're just talking. And I remember being with a bunch of people from Northern Ontario, and I was telling them all these excited stories. And they said, "Boy, you overreact a lot." I said, "Overreact? These are fun things I'm telling you about. Why do you think they're overreact?" "Well, the way you're." And I said, "Oh, no, I'm just Greek." So you can see where diverse sense, people can make a judgment immediately, and that is through our own immaturity, right? Our immaturity is, okay, I'm going to go from my survival mode to, maybe I'll try to belong, and I'll try to force other people to belong as well. Whereas when we mature, we understand people are different and they're going to think different things. And my own boundary, or my sense of what I want to do, will be varying. It will be varying. So, for example, let's say you have a family member who's a little bit nasty. Okay, you got a family member who's kind of nasty. They'll say nasty things like, "You're an idiot, you're stupid, what kind of dumb decisions do you make?" That's not the way you talk to people. If you're making a dumb decision or you've said something that's dumb, you could turn around, and as an adult, you would explain why that's a problem. You do not need to add an ad hominem. Let's say this person who's calling you dumb, he's also quite dumb, right? Because that person is unable to explain why you're dumb. Well, now you're in a different situation. They're unable to explain. Let's say you turn around and say, "Well, why are you calling me dumb?" "Well, because you don't know this, that, and the other thing." You go, maybe there's a variable there. They're a bit nasty, but they're also smart. Okay. Then you figure out from there where you need to go with your boundaries. But if they're just nasty, calling you dumb because they disagree with you, but they have no explanation as to why, well, maybe they're dumb too. And maybe you need to find a different boundary with that person. Okay, so clearly you understand that. Trying to use the examples that help us mature and understand that we can have our own boundaries. We can have our own way of seeing the world. I'm not talking about defense, and I'm not talking about, "I can't be with that person." That's a defense, and that is not part of making civilization work better. You may not like someone, you may not like the way they act, right? If, when I was a kid and you get a Greek coming from Greece they didn't know much about deodorant. We're talking about the 60s and 70s. There wasn't deodorant in Europe. They didn't even shower that often, right? There wasn't the availability of hot water that was very expensive. Some people didn't have hot water. So they came to Canada and they're kind of stinky. So, you didn't really want to be around them until somebody would actually be honest with them and say, here we don't tolerate smells. Here you have to use a deodorant. I remember have doing that with some people. It's like, you smell. You have to wear a deodorant. That's the way it goes. Otherwise, people are not going to want to be with you. Everything's not open air here, because in Greece, everything's open air. Your aroma can be scattered everywhere, but here we're in closed spaces. So you learn your boundaries. You ask of someone else some respect, that I don't want to smell you, and that you should bathe more often, not just once a week, and that you need to clean your armpits every morning because there's bacteria coming out of them. Great. So that's my, you know, physical offended character, because physical offense, like smells or sights or sounds, are a little easier for us to recognize, and we tend to ask the other person to stop, but they may not. They may not stop, and that's when our laws take effect, etc. But that is not enough for us to relate to the world. We need our brains to start working at a higher order level. So, with all that said, just sit with your brain. You got a really old one back here, nice and old. And then in between, you got this limbic brain that's all emotions. You're on a bus, somebody comes up beside you, a Greek from 1967 comes up beside you, has no idea what deodorant is, and has no idea he could shower every day, has no idea how to use soap. And wow, the aroma is overpowering. You can feel your eyes kind of slowly passing out. Now, what do you do? Well, as a Canadian, as I am, we wouldn't say anything. We just kind of tolerate it. But we'd associate here. So the old brain, the reptilian brain, and the limbic brain have this very strong emotion. And they go, oops, Greek immigrants smell bad. I did have that belief. I did. When I was a kid, I definitely, oh boy, a new immigrant. Watch your nose. They're coming close. Watch your nose. These are my people, okay? And um, I would assess it like that. Oh no. And then I would be surprised when they weren't, because there were plenty of people who didn't. That's when my brain started going up here. You got cortical brain, but you have prefrontal cortex, and start realizing, oh, it's not everybody. There are a lot more parameters to why someone would arrive and not be able to do things. Could be education level, maybe they never had a bar of soap, maybe they never learned how to use soap. There's lots of different things. So you assess differently. But that emotion, the original emotion that got met up with the smell, can cause an extreme reaction. And it doesn't go away till you're able to say, what is it that's happening to me? What is going on? And is that true? The emotional connection rate, because I can make it happen right now. I can think about a particular person who smelled really bad when I was a kid, and the body odor was horrible. I would come in the house, my brother and I were little, we were like 6 and 7. The smell was so bad it would give you a headache. And the house was spotless. I mean, I remember the carpet mat would be all in one direction. Everything was beautiful. A smell of Germel, Windex, and BO. And it was horrendous. It took me many years to disassociate it. I can still feel it, but I can say, what is that? Oh, that's just a memory. And it goes away. So for a second there, I brought back the memory. I felt the headache. And then I went, what is that? That's not happening. It's just a situation. No. So awareness is everything. Awareness that your thinking is not you. So we're going to do a little disassociation just to help you out. for whatever thoughts you have. I mean, I use the craziest example I could possibly think of, but hopefully you can extrapolate because you're going to say, but I never had that happen to me. If your head is doing that, I've never had that happen to me. Or if you're saying, I like the smell of body odor, you're not listening. Okay? So I know that a lot of people are going to say things like that. What we're looking at is an emotion with a memory that is hijacked through brainwashing. That's a brainwashing that's occurring, and you're not thinking properly. How do I get my thinking back? You ask a what question and then test to see if it's true. More than likely, it's not going to be true because ultimately, a lot of people I know are like, I'm a truth seeker. I seek the truth. I want to find the truth of everything. Yeah, but what about the truth is ineffable? Ineffable means unspeakable. You cannot speak the truth. Why? The moment you speak the truth, it comes into duality. The moment you speak the truth, it comes into duality. So it now is split in two. That's how our minds work. It's split. Everything is two sides of the same coin. That's why we know that we love sayings, we love stories, because it doesn't say exactly what the truth is. It has you discussing the truth from many different angles. Because the minute you say one straight up sentence about the truth, somebody else is going to say that's not true. I know the opposite can be true because we're in duality. If you realize that your mind is split like this, you can always be watching its activity. It's crazy up there, absolutely nuts up here. It's always going between one thing and another. But I can step above that and watch the one thing and another. I can always be looking at it going, yeah, I'm saying this, now I'm saying that, and I'm saying this, now I'm saying that. It's always working that way. And our job is to be aware of it and understand it's happening to me, happening to you, happening to everyone. Ultimately, we're all the same, just that we have a bunch of different beliefs and that we're identified with our beliefs. So if we could get this brain working a lot better, get it to function and ask the critical questions like what, not how. How is for when you want to know how to do something, you go to the person who knows how to do it. So if I want to make a pair of glasses, go to the glass master and say, I would like to learn how to make glasses. You want to know how to make a shirt, go to the shirt dressmaker and go learn how to make a shirt. That's a good how question. But when you're talking about your mind, you're saying, how am I going to get this or that? No, you're just going to go around in circles because you can't do that with your mind. Why? Because there's nobody there who's the master of the mind. You must be the master of the mind. To be the master of the mind, you ask what? 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 Yes, that's Tasha Ehrlich's work. She shows that what is the question? Don't ask why, don't ask how. It is what. And what immediately puts you here. So when you're off in your head, there's too much going on in your head. What's one thing you can do? Wait a minute, where am I? That's a good question, too. Where am I? I'm in a house. What am I standing on? A floor. A solid floor, a stone floor. What's in front of me? A computer. I see people's faces. What color is the computer? Black. They're sitting on a table. Table. Those are anxiety exercises. People who have anxiety, they just identify things. When you have a panic attack, you identify things. Well, where did we get that from? Well, from people who go in their head too much. Anxiety is because we're way too much in the head. Way too much. Panic, way too much in the head. So you can get a feeling and then you go up in your head. But the minute you have a feeling, you go up in your head, you say, what? What is it? What am I thinking? I'm thinking this. True or false? True and false. You can even give yourself that answer immediately. And it'll help you pan out and just look outside and go tree, green, table, This is what is real. What is up here is a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with you. The contents of your mind has nothing to do with you. Nothing. But the problem is we think it does, and that's where you need to separate. All right, everyone. I know this was a little bit more like a consciousness awareness, but as you all know, I love consciousness. Consciousness is what I've always most worked with, and I do love working with it and understanding what we need to be aware of within ourselves so we can change ourselves. Well, it's not changing ourselves, we'll remain the same, but change or undo, unlearn all of the stuff that tells us we should be something other than what we are. Okay? Because what we are is just is. There's nothing else. I am. Then the next thing is whatever you decide you want to do. I am. Okay, let me go jumping now and I'll be I am jumping. I am talking here on online. Okay, that's it. There's really nothing else. That's all there is. We can have meaning. We love that. We love to have meaning. I do. I really enjoy when things give me meaning. I like researching things. I like, coming up with new ideas. I like to see other people's ideas, especially around consciousness. My partner likes to watch things like how does a vacuum cleaner work? Not so interesting to me. But, thank God he wants to know how a vacuum cleaner works because when I break it, he can't fix it, right? So good stuff. So please, everyone, think about this world and how we need to make it a better place by bettering ourselves, not other people. It's not just about other people. It is about yourself. If I can look at myself, help myself to be here, now, present, then I can help other people if they need it, if they want it. I don't want to give people help who don't want it. You don't want it. Maybe you're just fine, which is absolutely possible. If you're just fine, you don't need any of this. So there we go. Have fun with that. I'm getting a tummy ache on this one, but we did talk for about an hour before the session. So, in case that's an effect for anybody else, that's fine. Otherwise, have a great week and looking forward to hear what you have to say. Bye.